Welcome back to the show, everybody. Well, we've got Stuart Alderoty, Susan Friedman, head of Ripple Policy, slamming Senator Warren. Come on in. Yeah, and Coinbase's chief legal officer. Will we see XRP relisted? We got that and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter for exclusive content. Right now, $1.19 trillion market cap for cryptocurrency. It's up 5.4%. Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. 26,800 plus. It's Bitcoin, 7.5% up on the 24-hour and 31.6% up on the 7-day. Come on in. Yeah, 1754 for Ethereum. The picture's much the same here. Up 5.3 on the 24-hour and 21.8% on the 7-day. Tether market cap, $75.2 billion, they say. XRP right now is sitting at 37 cents. It's up 3.2 on the 24-hour and 0.9% on the 7-day. Now let's get into this. If you don't know it, Link2 has some of the most amazing products that you can get in the private equity space. And I'm going to tell you, when it comes to fintech, blockchain, or whether you're talking about AI now, they've got it. Whether it's Samba Nova, Cerebus, or Standard AI, ASAPP are available on Link2's investment platform with a $5,000 minimum, ladies and gentlemen. Come on in. Look, don't mess around. Ripple too. You know, and when they have it, PolySign. But this is the thing. How much longer these things are available, we never actually know. So the time to strike is right now. The link is underneath the video. Check out my sponsor. Ryan Selkis. Now, you know there's been many times I have not agreed with Ryan Selkis if you followed this channel. But he's got her spot on today. Now, you're going to need to hear the majority of this clip, and it's probably going to upset you the way it has me and Ryan Selkis and the gentleman talking to Janet Yellen in this clip. But I want you to listen, because in this 5-minute clip, Ryan Selkis has got it here dead to rights. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and Senator Lankford highlighted how the Fed just destroyed the U.S. community banking system. That's exactly what this conversation is, and you need to know it before we move forward. Take a listen.
I don't have time. I need to be able to drill in on a couple of things. Let me start with some of the banking issues we're dealing with on it. Will the deposits in every community bank in Oklahoma, regardless of their size, be fully insured now? Are they fully recovered? Every bank, every community bank in Oklahoma, regardless of the size of the deposit, will they get the same treatment that SVBP just got or Signature Bank just got?
A bank only gets that treatment if a majority of the FDIC board, a supermajority of the Fed board, and I, in consultation with the president, determine that the failure to protect uninsured depositors would create systemic risk and significant economic and financial consequences.
So what is your plan?
We made that determination.
Right. So what is your plan to keep large depositors from moving their funds out of community banks into the big banks?
Exactly.
We have seen the mergers of banks over the past decade. I'm concerned you're about to accelerate that by encouraging anyone who has a large deposit in a community bank to say, we're not going to make you whole, but if you go to one of our preferred banks, we will make you whole at that point.
Look, I mean, that's certainly not something that we're encouraging.
That is happening right now.
That is happening right now. And that is exactly right, because that is exactly what is happening right now. And she doesn't know how to answer it. And it's despicable. And it's called nationalizing the banking system.
No.
That is happening because depositors are concerned about the bank failures that have happened and whether or not other banks could also
No, it's
failed.
happening
And
because you're
it's-
fully insured no matter what the amount is if you're in a big bank. You're not fully insured if you're in a community bank.
Well,
There you go.
you're not fully insured. And
You
the big-
were at Signature, and
the big-
it just barely met that threshold. You were at Signature.
Well, we felt that there was a serious risk of contagion that could have brought down and triggered runs on many banks, and that's something, given that our judgment is that the banking system overall is safe and sound, depositors should have confidence in the system, and we took these actions.
So there's a
to
special
discourage
assessment that's been done
contagion.
on community banks in my state and all banks across the country. Was there any discussion that that special assessment would only apply to the larger banks, or was it always assumed the special assessment would cover every bank, including rural banks in my state?
I think, I'm not certain what the rules are around that. That's for the FDIC to determine.
It has been reported publicly that SVB had a large number of Chinese investors that are there, including some that were companies directly connected to the Chinese Communist Party. Will those individuals, companies, entities, and investors that are Chinese investors be made whole based on assessments in my banks in Oklahoma? So what I'm asking is, will my banks in Oklahoma pay a special assessment to be able to make Chinese investors whole from Silicon Valley Bank?
Uninsured investors will be made whole in that bank, and I suppose that could include foreign depositors, but I don't believe there's any legal basis to discriminate among uninsured.
I get it, but I'm
depositors.
just saying my community banks are going to pay this additional fee. It is always fascinating to me as well, the conversation that taxpayers are being made whole in this, that taxpayers are not going to have any kind of consequence on this. I'm sure my bankers are going to be very excited to know they no longer pay taxes.
Yeah, because they're treated like they don't pay taxes like the big banks. And now they're going to be ostracized and left out into the cold because they won't get the same favor on high as the JP Morgans and such. This is a great clip because it exposes the true reality of what is going on with the federal government right now. And I agree with Brian Selkis on this matter. I don't want community banks to go under or for the federal government to use a crisis to push a central bank digital currency. FDIC seeks to sell Signature Bank now. But listen, from Eleanor Tarrant here, those said to be interested include Morgan Stanley, PNC Bank, Bank of America, Citi, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs. I mean, you see the list? They're all like chomping at, hey, I'll buy it up. We'll buy it. Well, there comes strings to all of this. Prospective buyers of Signature Bank will reportedly have to agree to drop all crypto business at the bank. How about that one? Stuart Alderoty says government action that has the consequence of depriving legitimate businesses their rights to bank accounts is a violation of constitutional due process. Community Financial Services Association of America versus FDIC, Federal Reserve, OCC. Come on in. Well, I tell you what, you can see what's going on here, and I know I see it too. This from Charles Gasparino here. He says, as I reported on Liz Clayman yesterday, banks, including JP Morgan, are looking to bail out First Republic now, which has been made next on the list, to get through what they say is a liquidity crisis. Recall 2008, the pre-Bear Stearns Lehman, when Lehman Brothers, when the banks bailed out bond issuers, or insurers, to stop the panic. It worked until it didn't. And that is the moment I believe we're on again. Before we go on to this next clip, I just want to describe something that I see from the macro here, if I could. I just want to describe it, and if I could. What I see happening here was that the Fed raised rates. that instantly put the banks in an upside down position. And that's because of fractional lending that all banks do. The Moody's rating system comes in and they downgrade you now because obviously the rates have changed and now your books are completely upside down. But the shareholders of Moody are, in fact, Berkshire Hathaway, BlackRock, Vanguard, right? The usual suspects. So if they do this every 10 to 12 years, it's a cycle. And they come in looking like the hero to save the government and all the people from failing and put out this money to buy everything back up after it's collapsed. All the while monopolizing everything they buy up and then turning around after they bought it pennies on a dollar and reselling it back to all of us that have lost it. Just want to be clear if you're seeing what I'm seeing. Shout out to Jim for this one. Susan Friedman is laying it down in this one right here. I don't mind telling you. And it is this. Susan Friedman, head of Ripple Policy, slammed Senator Warren, saying we deserve more from our elected officials than clickbait headlines that don't nearly begin to tell the full story. Well, let's take a look at that full story because it's right here. Elizabeth Warren laid it down. She tried to put her narrative forward. It's no wonder the American people are skeptical of a system that holds millions of struggling student loan borrowers in limbo, but steps in overnight to ensure that billion-dollar crypto firms won't lose a dime in deposits. Oh, it's all our fault. Do you see? It's all these bad crypto people. Well, Susan Friedman picked up on it too, and she put it out the way it needed to be. Shout out to her for this. A good reminder that repeating something demonstrably false over and over again doesn't magically make it true. Boy, do we like that. Go Susan Friedman. The U.S. government didn't step in to save crypto, and the decision to protect depositors affected a diverse group of people and businesses and individuals, of which crypto was one part. Go Susan Friedman. I want to see more of that. You keep that coming, Mrs. Friedman. Yeah. And here we have Tony from Thinking Crypto. Shout out to Crypto Law for this clip. With Paul Grewal, the chief legal officer at Coinbase, and says this is what democracy is supposed to look like when talking about the XRP army. Take a listen.
Token holders crowdsourcing and causing and having an impact on the case via attorney John Deaton. I didn't see that coming. And I'm like, wow, there's like 70,000 plus XRP holders and they're all on Twitter and they're all. So it's a very different dynamic. Have you seen anything like this before? And what do you think the impact will be moving forward? Once again, it doesn't have to be XRP. It could be Cardano. It could be whatever. What do you think about that?
No, to answer your question directly, I have not seen anything like this in my experience. And again, even though many of the holders of these tokens and the fans of the projects are quite aggressive and quite vocal, I respect what they're trying to do. In a lot of ways, Tony, this is what democracy is supposed to look like, right? Regular people weighing in on important issues that impact their lives. So I have a ton of respect for what all of these communities have been able to do in terms of influencing the direction of the litigation, the arguments that could be made, even the mastery and the building of the record of evidence in the case. It's really quite impressive. And attorneys like John Deaton and others, I think, have done an excellent job representing that.
And I tell you what, hats off, because that's absolutely spot on. But now we need to find out, will Coinbase relist XRP? Let's see.
So let's say in the scenario, the ruling from the judge is in favor of Ripple. Will Coinbase then make the assessment, you know what? It looks like things are moving in the direction of XRP and Ripple and so forth. Relist XRP or restart trading?
It's possible. It would all, of course, depend upon the basis for the ruling, the judge's legal reasoning. our assessment of whether or not an appeals court would affirm that decision. So a lot's going to depend on the particulars of how that court rules. I know that's not going to be terribly satisfying to some, but we do have a responsibility as a publicly listed company to tread carefully in this area and with respect to any token that's the subject of federal court litigation. But I'm very, very eager, as much as anyone else, to see how the court rules. And what I can say is, as soon as we have that ruling, we will put it into our process to see if we need to revisit our listing decision.
So really touching down on what the appellate court might say. So there's some time in there is the way I pick up on that little piece of information there. Now, what'll be interesting is will we see the same quick reaction should the New York Attorney General get her way and Ethereum become a security through a declaration? Because I don't think KuCoin's going to show up at that hearing. I don't want it to be so, but I'm certainly interested to see if Coinbase acts just as fast should that happen. This here from James Rule says, for the assessment or asset management industry, BlackRock believes the operational potential of some of the underlying technologies in digital asset space could have exciting applications. In particular, the tokenization of asset classes offers the prospect of driving efficiencies in the capital markets, shortening value chains, improving cost and access for investors. At BlackRock, we continue to explore the digital asset ecosystem, especially areas most relevant to our clients, such as permission blockchains and tokenization of stocks and bonds. Now, we have said this for years. Crypto is the smallest portion of this asset class. The largest portion is tokenization because it's the rest of everything of value out here in the world that needs to have a tokenized representation in this digital revolution we're moving into. Remarkable. Now let's take a quick look at this. Eggrag Crypto says XRP red or green. This is what we need to look at. And I love that he shows both sides. Shout out to Eggrag Crypto. Does great work. Charts are always clean. Look at this. We either going to 18 cents, somewhere in that neighborhood, or we could go up here almost $2. $1.80, $2. This is our range. This is what we want to watch. And this channel in here, whether we remain in and start to move up or whether we break down below, should give us an indicator of where we're going to go. But I'd like a little fundamental news on Friday, like maybe a ruling from the judge in the SEC versus Ripple. Fridays can be pretty amazing like that sometimes. Head on a swivel. You just never know. This is not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.